Hello everyone, Namaskar, Sawadee Welcome you all to the rubber industry news hour. This is a TechnoBiz program on every Monday and a weekly program for rubber industry. Welcome you all. As you know, it is organized and managed by TechnoBiz. TechnoBiz is recognized as international resource center for the rubber industries with various services, education and various business services. You can always find more information about TechnoBiz at technobiz.org. I'd like to brief you or maybe give you some information about the online training programs that we offer for the rubber industry, which is very unique and vast number of topics available. Let's have a look at a short presentation on the rubber industry online training. You can download the whole presentation PDF in the handout section. that's the presentation on the offerings of TechnoBiz for the rubber industry online training. For more information, you can check our website www.knowhow-webinars.com. I can say that we are the specialist in offering the specialized training programs for the rubber industries online. So more than 250. There are still many in the development process. Please check our website knowhow-webinars.com. So welcome you all for the episode number 22. Today is the 13th June. Welcome you all for this today's episode. Let's look at what are the highlights of today's episode. First, we'll have a market outlook, a natural rubber market outlook by Mr. John Jacob, a rubber industry analyst. And then we have a special program, leadership program, conversation with Mr. Jürgen Lathia. He is the managing director of the Lathia Rubber Manufacturing Development based in India. Mr. Jürgen Lathia is well-respected, well-known Indian rubber industrialist. We'll be having conversation with him as a part of this episode today. So let's welcome you all. Let's get to the first session. It's natural rubber market outlook by Mr. John Jacob. Let me brief you about Mr. John Jacob. He is an independent analyst in global rubber industry with more than 30 years experience as analyst in analyzing the rubber market, forecasting industry trends, and formulating long-term policies and development plans for natural rubber sector. He served the Association of Natural Rubber Producing Countries, ANRPC, at Kuala Lumpur as its senior economist for 11 years. Before that, he was with the Rubber Board of India by holding various positions for 23 years. So let's welcome Mr. John Jacob to give information on the natural rubber market outlook.
Hi everyone, welcome to the natural rubber outlook. As usual, we will first review the performance of the futures and physical prices during the previous week. Let us have a quick overview of the prices during the previous week. We have one slide here. Futures markets, we are reviewing three important futures, Asian futures market, which are Shanghai, Saikom, and Osaka. Shanghai markets, rubber futures average last week 0.7% higher compared to a week before. Saikom TSR 20 August delivery average 0.1% higher during last week compared to a week before. In the case of Osaka, RSS3 November contracts average 3.4% higher during last week compared to a week before. The main factor which propelled the Osaka rubber futures was the evaluation of Japanese yen against the dollar. When the yen is weak against dollar, the yen denominated asset classes, for example, Osaka rubber futures attracts more investors, more buyers. That was a single major factor which helped Osaka rubber futures to gain considerably faster compared to the other two futures. Coming to physical markets, nearly 70% of the global trade in natural rubber is in the form of technically specified rubber. So two important markets are one Bangkok and the Bangkok STR 20 and the other is SMR 20 in Kuala Lumpur. STR 20 Bangkok average 0.4% higher compared to a week before. SMR 20 Kuala Lumpur averaged 0.1% higher compared to a week before. Coming to RSS3, RSS sheet rubber, we have two important markets. One is RSS3 Bangkok and the other is RSS4 Kottayam. RSS3 Bangkok averaged 0.3% lower during last week compared to a week before, whereas RSS4 Kottayam averaged 1.2% higher compared to a week before. Latex, we have two important markets. One is Bangkok, the other is Kuala Lumpur. Bangkok latex average 0.9% lower compared to a week before, whereas Kuala Lumpur markets, the prices average 1.6% lower compared to a week before. So this is a summary of how the prices performed. Overall, we could see that except in the case of Osaka RSS3, prices either fell or made only marginal increase during last week because the markets were weighed down by a number of factors which included one, the economic repercussions of the Ukraine war, and the other was the overheated or red hot inflation, and also the fear that US inflation will be for May would be much higher, and that would be prompting Federal Reserve to increase the interest rate. Anyway, we'll be going details of these factors when we go into the outlook. Now, this is a summary of how the prices performed last week. Now, let us look ahead. What can happen in the markets in the coming week? We have another slide which is explaining which all factors can influence the markets during the coming week. First, let us review what can happen in the market fundamental, demand supply fundamental. Coming to the demand, the market fundamental, demand prospects are likely to be weighed down in the coming week. The major reason is many cities in Shanghai, in China, including Shanghai and Beijing, are partly put under COVID restrictions because of the resurgence of number of COVID cases. As I had mentioned in the previous episodes, China is following a COVID zero policy, which is in sharp contrast with the other countries which have adopted a policy which is called going along with the COVID. That means people are vaccinated, so economic activities are allowed. There is no movement control because this was a policy being followed by the rest of the world. But China has adopted near zero COVID policy because of the same reason. In response to a recent increase in the number of COVID cases, China has put restriction in a number of cities, which included Shanghai city, Beijing, and other few cities. So what is the implication of this? That means China actually was under a lockdown from end of March onwards, and economic activities have just resumed partly. But because of the new restriction put by authorities, there is actually people have lost, manufacturing sector has lost optimism of expectation of or hope for of resuming activity in a full swing. In fact, actually this is very important because China is representing 42% of the global demand for natural rubber. So that means if there are new restrictions coming in China, that means manufacturing activities in China will be disrupted, at least partly, and that will be having a negative implications for the demand for natural rubber from China. That means we are expecting some kind of a global demand prospect for natural rubber being weighing down because of the China factor. Second factor, which is not as important as China's case, the truckers strike in South Korea has entered the 6th day today. Truckers strike, because of the truckers strike, several manufacturing companies in Korea are forced to hold their plants, some of their plants, because they have lack of space to store unshipped products, because trucks are not moving. Because of that, the products are being stored in the premises of the plants. So because they have a lack of space to store unshipped products, and also there is difficulty to source raw materials. So in fact, Korea is not a major consumer of natural rubber. The Korea represents less than 4% of the world consumption of natural rubber, but this is another factor negatively impact on the demand prospects for natural rubber in the coming week. Then we should take into account that World Bank has trimmed its 2022 global economic outlook for by 1.2 percentage point. It has slashed the demand because of the various factors negatively impacting on the economic recovery, particularly the repercussions of the Ukraine war. So that means we are anticipating global economic activity further impacted by new lockdown, truckers strike in South Korea, and several other factors which we had earlier mentioned. For example, repercussions of the Ukraine war, and also supply chain shortage, higher interest rates, and as well as the strong dollar. These are all having implications, negative implications on the manufacturing activities and other economic activities world over. Or in short, demand sector is not favorable for natural rubber markets in the coming week. Demand sector. So that factor will dominate market sentiments during the coming week. Especially the physical market sentiment will be dominated by this factor in the coming week. Coming to non-fundamental factors, the major important factor is the US inflation. Last Friday, US Labor Department released the consumer price index, and the May CPI, consumer price index, is a fresh 40-year high. That means inflation is overheated or red hot. High inflation means what? Very high inflation means it's particularly impacting on the prices of food as well as energy, fuel. So people have to earmark people have to earmark more amount for food and fuel, means they have less amount, disposable amount for other activities. In such a situation, they will postpone purchases or cancel purchases. That will be negatively impact on the demand for goods and services in the US. So that is one factor. Second thing, a high overheated inflation will put pressure on the Federal Reserve to tame the inflation by raising the policy interest rates. In fact, tomorrow and day after tomorrow, US Federal Reserve is having its FOMC meeting, Federal Open Market Committee meeting, which is the authority entrusted with the responsibility to review the policy interest rate. So it is widely expected that Federal Reserve will go for an aggressive policy hike, interest rate hike in the coming week. So in the next two meetings of the Federal Reserve, a 125 percentage point increase in the policy interest rate is expected, widely expected by some of the investors in the speculative market. So that means if Federal Reserve is going for a higher interest rate, means dollar is going to appreciate, and also US Treasury yields is going to be higher. A strong dollar, a high interest rate, with both these two conditions are not favorable for speculative investors, because speculative investors will find investment on capital less attractive if the dollar is stronger and the interest rate is higher. If the dollar is stronger and interest rate is higher, usually speculative investors will keep away from risky asset classes. So that means rubber futures are unlikely to attract fresh buyers in the coming week. So rubber futures are unlikely to attract less buyers in the coming week. That is one factor going to dominate rubber futures in the coming week. Then, in fact, we have a favorable factor here. That is, today, Japanese yen is at its 24-year low against US dollar. When the Japanese yen is low, means a weak against dollar, it is supposed to attract investors or buyers to Osaka rubber futures, RSS3 futures. But this is a favorable factor. But speculative investors will work out or consider other factors because of the more dominant influence of the other factors. This weak yen need not attract speculative investors to the Osaka rubber futures. So this is going to, that means putting together one side we have fundamental is weak because of the demand side downside. On the other side, non-fundamental sector is dominated by risk and uncertainties, which are likely to keep speculative investors away. This is the short summary of what can happen in the coming week. So, putting this together, what can happen in the next week? Let us go to the final side, what we can expect in the coming week. Both futures and physical markets are likely to average considerably lower during the coming week because of the unfavorable conditions prevailing both in fundamental as well as non-fundamental. That's a summary. Thank you very much. See you again next week at the same time. Thank you.
Okay, that's the natural rubber market outlook. By collaborating with Mr. John Jacob, we're having a session called NR Dialogue on 27th June as a part of the Rubber Industry NewsHour. We are focusing on the natural rubber industry in Thailand, and we have invited a guest, Mr. Supadej Bongsakur. He is the Deputy Secretary General of Thai Rubber Association, and also he is an Executive Secretary of the International Rubber Association. I welcome you all to join this special session on NR Dialogue, episode number 6, which will be the part of the Rubber Industry NewsHour on the 27th June. Before we move on to this next part of the session, I'd like to introduce upcoming rubber industry events. Let's have a look at them. First, I'd like to introduce about the Rubber and Tire Vietnam 2022, which is going to happen during the 3rd to 5th August in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. You can check the more details about the rubber-tire.com.vn. We have a short presentation on this. Let's have a look at the presentation on Vietnam Rubber Expo. Okay, that's a short presentation on the rubber and tire Vietnam. Please join us then during the 3rd to 5th August in Ho Chi Minh City. Pleased to say that Rubber Industry NewsHour is a media partner for this event as well. The next event I'd like to introduce to you all and invite you all to join is in Rubber Expo in Malaysia, IRICE 2022. It's an international rubber industry convention expo during the 6th to 8th September, organized by the Malaysian Rubber Products Manufacturers Association. Let's have a look at a short presentation of the IRICE. So welcome you all to the IRICE 2022 in Kuala Lumpur during 6 to 8 September. And again, I'm pleased to inform you that Rubber Industry NewsHour is also a media partner for this event. Welcome you all to the Malaysian Rubber Expo. Another event that I'd like to introduce to you is IRC 2022. It is organized by Indian Rubber Institute during 24 to 26 November in Bangalore. It's an international rubber conference exhibition, and I welcome you all to participate in this IRC 2022. And also like to introduce our Technobiz exhibitions. Technobiz itself organized exhibition. We have an exhibition called GRTE. It's a Global Rubber Latex Center Expo. The 5th edition, it will be held in next year in during the 29th to 31st March. We also have another event organized by Technobiz. It is called Arab Rubber Expo during the 21st, 22nd November 2023 in Sharjah, United Arab Emirates, near to Dubai. So welcome you all for all these events relevant to the rubber industry. Now we move into the special session, Rubber Industry Leadership. Conversation with Mr. Yugal Lathia, Managing Director, Lathia Rubber Manufacturing Private Limited, India. Yugal Lathia is well-known and well-respected Indian rubber industrialist. And we are going to have a discussion with him on about his leadership skills and management aspects of it. Let's dive into the rubber industry leadership program. Hello everyone, welcome to Rubber Industry Leadership Program. This is a Technobiz initiative. The objective of this program is understanding leadership and management practices of rubber industry by having conversation with the leading rubber industry leaders. Through this program, we will be able to learn about these leaders' experiences, both good and bad, challenges, best practices, vision, and their future plans. You may call this program as a mini MBA on rubber industry management. In this episode today, we are hosting a well-respected and well-known rubber industry leader, Mr. Yogan Lathia. He is the managing director of the Lathia Rubber Manufacturing, based in India, serving global market, which is a well-established company in rubber rollers, rubber lining, and many other rubber products. I'm pleased to invite Mr. Yogan Lathia to join us to have a conversation in our rubber industry leadership program. Mr. Yogan Lathia, please join us. Hello, sir. Thank you very much for being part of this session today.
Good morning, Prem. I'm happy to be with you today. It's a pleasure. And I'm thankful that you thought it fit that I should be on one of these leadership talks.
Well, you know, you are in my mind for a long time. So this is a time that we all agree on time now. Thank you very much.
I know. I recollect meeting you for about almost 20 years in Bangkok when I was there for promoting Rubber Expo.
Long time.
Yeah, long time. And you have progressed well also in the rubber industry.
All the good people's blessings and people like you on support as well. You know, so it's been a good journey.
Yes, in your hard work and your dedication, that's also equally important.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's dive into our conversation today. You know, You've been, as you just mentioned, 20 years ago I met you, or 20 plus, I think. Okay, a pretty long time ago. You yourself in the rubber industry more than 40 years, so how has been, you know, when I look back in all these 40 plus or more than that, what's your feeling like being in the rubber industry?
I mean, it's a great feeling. Rubber industry is a great industry to be in, and as rubber is flexible, you can get it 32 hard. The rubber industry has also multiple challenges, and it has been a great industry. And particularly here in India, the rubber industry has been growing because almost 80 to 90% of our requirement were made locally and are made locally even before the imports were allowed. I recollect my days in 1977 when I joined the business. We were not allowed to import. We had to have an import license to import, and coming today where everything is allowed to be imported. And it's been a fascinating journey, ups and downs, learning, and I wouldn't mind it to repeat again. Obviously, there are challenges and there are good points also.
Right. You know, before we get into more details in our conversation, I wanted to know about your father, the legendary, in the rubber industry, Mr. Y.V. Lathia, and great respects to him. And I think all the rubber industry community in India and abroad, they respect him a lot. Well, I didn't have a chance to see him, but meet him. Can you talk about your father?
Yeah.
And
my father is not Y.V. Lathia, it is S.V. Lathia, was one of the pioneers in the rubber industry. Incidentally, he wanted to become a doctor and he did not get admission for 1 mark. And then the professor said that, no, next year you will get, and then it went, and next year never came. Then suddenly someone said that, why don't you go to London and study plastics and rubber, because this is growing industry. I'm talking the year 1951, 52. So my father went to National College of Rubber Technology in London and then came back and started this industry in a small place in Leamington Road in Bombay. And at that time, India was struggling. He was struggling. It was a partnership firm which he had started, and he ran into losses. My mother would give her house money or her personal money to pay salary, and he would return on the 20th. That's the way the industry began. Somewhere in 1958, he started on his own and then laid the foundation. The company was then called as Industrial Supplies Corporation. We became a private limited company in 1967. And from then, since the industry was beginning, Bombay was the textile capital, and there were lots of textile industry in Bombay at that point of time. So he started making specialized rollers for industry. At that point of time, we were making beltings, we were making cables, we were making a lot of other products also. But slowly, uh, with the support of the textile technicians, we specialize in rubber rollers, and we moved to the present premises where I am sitting just now in the year 1958. We had our own building, and from there onwards, it was a slow and steady progress. My father was also my father also believed that he should give back to the industry, the society, and the family from where we are. And that is how it led to his connection with the Rubber Association. At that time, Mr. D. Banerjee, Manubhai Patel, Lalit Mohan Jamnadas, who were icons of the industry at that point, and because the industry was self-sufficient locally, they met regularly and led to the progress of rubber industry in India today. Even Mr. K.M. Philip was one of with them at that point of time. So this led to the development of the industry and the individuals also. Both Cosmos Rubber, Oriental Rubber, Vistava Car, my father, Bengal Waterproof. These were the companies which were pioneers in the rubber industry at that point of time. So, and my father always believed that there is no shortcut to success except hard work. And his underlying principle was to be honesty, integrity, quality, and service. And if you know, Prem, in the old days you had telegraphic address. And my father's telegraphic address was "You can rely." UCANRELY, because that that was his principle, and he lived by his principles right through the end. And over the years, uh, I have learned a lot of things from him because he was an entrepreneur. When he came to Bombay, he had no money except education and a desire to work hard, and that's how he progressed. I know that in 1979, when I just 77, when I joined business as a youngster, we are all very keen to grow fast, and at that point of time, at that point of time, the interest rates were 18 and 19%. So I was very young, and I would say, because my father said, look, son, if you borrow and at 18% interest, 20% of your money will go directly to the government. And when the times are bad, this 20% will come to get you. So he has always been conservative, and I think that has, helped us to grow steadily and surely. Because even today people are talking of debt and own funds. So and my father always was a conservative, and he says you must borrow, but you must borrow what you can and how much interest you can bear easily without having sleepless nights. And second principle, he always thought that you never borrow for luxury. So you never borrow for cars or imported cars. You always borrow for business, because the business is the one where you can earn money, not for luxurious items. So these are some of the principles he has left us with it. Also, at that point of time, way before today, we are talking of Atmanirbhar. In 50s and 70s, 60s was the time when the industry was not allowed, and as I told you, you had to have input license. So my father always called himself technicians. So he would go to a paper mill, textile mills, or a steel mill at that point, who were the actual users, and meet the technicians. And then this technician would help him to develop rolls, compounds. He says, Mr. Latia, we are importing this. Why don't you make this? Why don't you develop this? So at that point of time, my father started developing, because it was a win-win situation for us and for the industry. So
Right.
he started developing, and we won in between 65 and 69. We won 4 national awards for import substitution. In those days, it was called import substitution. And my father got 4 awards for this, doing developing some of the items which we developed were mercury cells for caustic soda industry, rubber blankets, suction press rolls. These were all items which were imported, and we made for the first time in India with local technology. So this helped the industry, and it also helped us also in that sense.
Mm.
And from there on, we then moved on to Ahmedabad, because Ahmedabad was the Manchester of India at that point of time. So it was a natural choice that Bombay, after Bombay, Ahmedabad was there. So we set up a factory in Ahmedabad in 68, and then we set up another, because by that time paper industry was growing. So we set up 2 units in Bombay, one in 73 and one in 85, to cater to the bigger rollers for the paper industry, because earlier paper industry was a very nascent industry, and even today paper industry is the Rolls Royce of the rubber roller industry. The sizes, the weight, and the length they use, and the precision they require. So in the present premises, we could not locate, or we could manufacture, but there was too much handling. So we set up another unit dedicated to paper industry in 1985. And then subsequently, we moved out to Surat, Delhi. And in 2008, we moved to Vapi, where we have set up the state-of-the-art plant for the rubber roller industry. You can compare it to any plant anywhere in the world. It was my
Wow.
father's dream to set up this plant, and we inaugurated on 10th March 2008, and he passed away on 15th April 2008.
But he had seen
Yeah, it was his
the
dream.
world as the dream
Yeah,
come
it was
true for
his,
him. Yeah.
yeah, it was a concept. He was involved right from day one, from inception to commissioning also. So we commissioned this plant with his hands only. In fact, he was very frail. He had pancreatic cancer. So we flew him from Bombay to Vapi by a helicopter,
Mhm.
got him to the inauguration, and brought him back, because it was his desire that he should build
See,
this best plant to see it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we
Wow.
were all fortunate, with God's blessing, he was able to see it. That is, again, we may try, but if his will is not there, then nothing can happen.
Very nice, very nice. I'm sure you're very proud of your father, his journey and his vision. He has influenced many people, many entrepreneurs, and young rubber technologists. And yeah, it's
My
nice
father,
to.
yes, I am really proud. And my father, at that point of time, they used to run rubber technology courses at synthetic and chemicals with Manubhai. So
Yeah,
my father, Mr. Pandit, Mr. Rege, they all used to give lectures to the budding entrepreneurs, because most of the people could not, there was no rubber technology course or college or anything. So Manubhai, under leadership of Manubhai, we started these courses in Bombay, and then Bayer also took it up and started what they call a rubber technology course. It was a 1-week course where Mr. Pandit, who is also an iconic figure in the rubber and who has trained number of technicians, they started budding, because the industry has been growing at the rate of 8% compounded annual growth for last 50 years. So you require technicians, you require machinery, you require raw materials as the industry goes. So
yeah,
that is how my father got associated with educational institution also. And then he would also go abroad to learn. He would visit Monsanto, Bayer, ICI. These are the old DuPont. These are the old names which were leaders in the rubber
Yeah.
technology at that point of time. And
Right.
then he would meet the people like Institute of Materials and PRI at that point of, but it was Rubber Institute, then it became PRI, and now it is Institute of Materials. And
Right.
he would learn from there, learn from technicians, and come and teach back the entrepreneurs here, because not everyone is fortunate enough to go abroad. So he
Yeah.
believed in sharing his vision also.
Hmm.
That is why he was awarded honorary membership of our Rubber Association, Fellowship of Plastic and Rubber Institute, and also Hancock Medal and KM Philip Medal, which were recognized as the awarded to the contributors to the rubber industry in all fields. So my father was fortunate to get both these awards, and I'm really proud that I am his son, and I'm been fortunate enough, and I'm doing my best to carry forward his legacy.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I think the Lathia name is in the records or history of rubber industry will be there for long, for forever. Yeah. So yeah.
Thanks a lot, Prem, for your wishes. We also try for that only, that
Yeah.
the legacy continues.
Right. Right. So can you talk? Okay, I understand that you're actually involved in the rollers and the blankets. What is it now the Lathia group? What kind of
See, today
products, complete product line?
we have always specialized in technological products, because my father was a technologist, and we always have made handheld products. We have not got into the other segment of the rubber industry, be it moldings or extrusions, or we were manufacturing, as I said earlier, cables, but then cable was using copper, and then copper became a very scarce commodity, regulated commodity. So my father didn't want to not to comply with the rules. So we shut the cable division, because you had to have copper quota and all the other paperwork involved with that point of time. So we then started specializing only in handheld articles, calendar sheet products, wherever. So today we make rubber rollers, we make rubber blankets, we make rubber linings, we make what we call banana rollers for the paper and textile industry. We also make specialized articles where, like submarine battery bags and other bags, where you require technology. We don't make run of the mill products. And today we have six manufacturing plants, two in Bombay, one in Vapi, one in Surat, one in Ahmedabad, one in Delhi, where we manufacture rubber rolls. And we have four ancillary units who are supplying rubber compounds to these rolls, as well as, you see, rubber roll basically consists of a metal shell
Yeah.
and rubber covering on it. So we have one unit which is supplying metal shells also to all our group companies. So today we have about 10, 11 companies all to put together, catering to basically steel, textile, paper, chemical industry,
And
and
your market
and
is yeah.
plastics, like plastic film industry,
Oh yeah.
lamination industry, asbestos industry also. Wherever there are rollers, we don't make printing rollers which are very small in size, but anything which is over 100 millimeter and 1000 millimeter over length, we will supply whichever industry. And our speciality is to develop rollers for this, any particular rollers which is required by the industry which are being imported.
Hmm.
Long before,
And it,
not long before Atmanirbhar came, our slogan was, if it can be made in rubber, it can be made in India by Lathia. That was our bottom line in the in the our advertisement.
it's a
That is,
tagline. Yeah.
it's a tagline. It is a tagline. That
Yeah.
is right.
And your market is, I think it's a global market, not just only serving
Yeah,
Indian market. Yeah. No.
basically, yes, we have, there are two segments which we are. One is the rubber roller, with metal shell, and second is recoating, like repairing. It's like retreading of tire.
Yeah.
Yes, for the manufacturing of shells, we are catering all over Asia and neighboring countries. Recoating, we are catering, but not too much, because it involves a lot of paperwork in the customs. Because when we import the roll, we have to give bond and get examined, and then when we export, we have to close. The procedure is too cumbersome, but we do it. Definitely, we do it. When the values are big, we definitely do it. But small values, it is not possible, because the textile rollers basically, or the other industry rollers, are very small in size, and the value of the roll is not much. So the procedure cost and the customs and clearing and everything is logistic cost are too bad. That is why only we have lot of plants spread all over the country, because the logistic is the key. In a rubber roller, you have 80% of the weight is of the metal shell,
Right. Right. Yeah.
and 20% is the covering. So you have to be near where your customers are.
And are you getting into the PU also? In the roller
Yeah,
business,
we
PU
are
also playing?
we are making PU rollers for the steel industry and the industrial items. And in fact, we have the latest machine, ribbon flow machine, and we have been making for last 15 years now. We are planning to now get into the other composite epoxy rolls and composites and other rolls also.
Mhm.
We normally suit ourselves, develop ourselves to suit the requirement of our customers. What my father taught us: you go to the industry will tell you what they want, and you go ahead and make it. In fact, in the year 1985, the industry said, particularly the paper industry felt that we should upgrade our technology. So in 1985, we went to America and we signed up a technical collaboration agreement with Star Woodward, who are one of the oldest roller companies in the world. They are about 120-year-old company. At that point, they had uh, about 25 manufacturing plants, and we got their licensing for paper industry, because paper industry, some of the rolls are running at 2000 meters a minute, and with a load of 100 200 kilos. So I mean, 2000 meters means 120 kilometers per hour. And so if I sit in a paper machine, I will reach Ahmedabad in 4 hours. Because that concept is
That
not
was
there. And even people are always associated with tire. The tire runs for 100,000 kilometers, and rubber rolls in his life runs more than rubber tires, but it's not
correct.
known, because that is not general thing. And the loads, some of the loads today we are talking in the paper industry is around 300 to 350 kilonewtons per meter. So these are very high loads, very high speeds, because in some of the things, the ease of production is bigger and faster.
Hmm.
Same is the case with polyester film industry. They started with 3 meters and 4 meters. Now they are all machines making 8, 9, 10 meters, and it's a global market.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
polyester and PP films.
Yeah.
These are made
Cap-
all over.
cap-
Even Thailand also has a couple of big plants there.
See the packaging side in the cast films, and there's a huge market everywhere. So
Exactly, there is a huge, and it's an ever-growing market.
yeah,
Consumers want better packaging and
packaging.
everything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so without these films, whether it is PE or whether it is PP, you will not get the colors and the packaging which you are seeing today. If
Right.
someone, I think I would go back in 79 or 80s, or you go back 20 years ago, the kind of packing which you are seeing in the market today, if you see a product in that packing, you will not even hold it
Sure.
in your hand.
Right. 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 So you had a I think a technical collaboration with the US roller company.
Company. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think
yeah.
in US Rubber Roller Group is there, very strong group. You are part of
Yes.
that group Yeah,
No, I am part of ACS, but I want to become a part of that rubber roller group. It's a big group. They had a recent meeting in Florida. The
yeah.
question is, they hold their meetings in America, so I have to fly down there. But I'm seriously contemplating to be there because
They have
I
one good handbook. Actually, there is a very good handbook produced by the Rubber Roller Group. Very
okay, okay.
very useful reference document, and I think they update on regular basis with all the standards and
I
things.
I think
Very active.
it used to be a rubber roller handbook by RMA. I have the RMA handbook with me, updated one, but
Yeah,
I don't have the rubber roller. I will get in touch and get that book also.
yeah.
So it's a
So
good reference point.
yeah, it's a pretty good organization in the US, and they meet on regular basis, and they're very strong. Rubber Roller
Yeah,
Group. Okay, they are not part of the ACS, but they're an independent group, but
I
similar.
know.
Yeah, so
I know that in America they have also hoses group, also hoses
yeah,
and belting group also, and there's a rubber goal. I know that. So
yeah.
I'll definitely become a part of it.
I think a lot of input in information exchange can be done from that group.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely.
yeah, yeah. I want to go back to your childhood little bit. Okay, you said you get into the rubber industry in 1977. Okay,
Yes.
and I mean, when I was 3 years old, you were you already
Oh
started a
my God.
career, so you can tell. Yeah.
Oh,
So tell
uh,
me, how was, of course, your father started, and how was your journey in the beginning? How did you manage? How you
yeah,
groom yourself? In terms of
yeah,
the skills.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now it was a different world at that point of time. It was expected that the sons would join their father's business and follow the legacy. So since my father was working hard and we are three brothers, so all the three of us knew that we will join our father's business. So when I started, I graduated, did my SSC, did my BSc from St. Xavier's College, Bombay, and then moved on to London to the same college my father studied, National College of Rubber Technology. In fact, uh, because I was not given admission, they had two courses, a diploma course and an associate course.
Okay.
And they had given me an admission in a diploma course, and I had already done some of the things in India. I did a postal course in rubber technology. There was an institute called British India Engineering Institute. From there,
Mm,
they had a rubber technology course. I used to come to the factory. So after I went to London, I met the principal of the college, and I said, "Sir, I have. So why are you putting me on a disadvantage?" So he immediately upgraded me to associateship. I
mm.
and then passed out in 1 year, and in fact, I got the award for the best business administration paper because there was a paper on business administration at that
Oh,
point of time. So they had an award of 500 pounds. So
wow.
anyway, from there, and as I told you, my father had lot of contacts in the Indian rubber industry, and that time all these multinationals had offices or agents in India, ICI, Monsanto,
Mm,
DuPont, Dow. So my father was well connected here. So he arranged for me training right across in all the laboratories, rubber machinery manufacturers, in chemical manufacturers, right across from Europe to America, Japan, and back. So I spent 1 year traveling in Europe and UK, America, and Japan, and came back. So I went to a number of laboratories, MRPRA, DuPont, Hertfordshire, then Monsanto Instruments, Zwick, ICI Manchester, Bayer Leverkusen, Goodyear. And then we had roller companies all over. Paul Gumi was there in Germany. I then Gumiwak Baker was there. So it was a 1 year of intense training. Clute was there. 1 year of intense training across the world. I was carrying my bag and one Indian cassettes player, because that time there was no TV or there was no internet and English was not there. And I am a vegetarian,
Okay.
so so it was one bag, one handbag, and roaming around the world. My ticket at those days there was no electronic ticket, so my ticket
Right.
was this big. So every time everyone who at the airport would check out. But it was a fascinating experience. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to learn a lot of things. I and some of these companies were family owned, so I
Yeah.
got to learn also from them. I went to Argentina where
Mm.
my father was new a rubber roller factory. So I stayed with the family for 1 week, and
Mm.
then went to Japan to see Denka's plant and Toyo Soda's plant and even Dow Corning's plant in 77. So at that time they would have trained. There was a lot of technical literature available. Leverkusen had almost 15, 20,000 people there. And
Mm.
there was a whole laboratory which was a mini manufacturing plant. So
Yeah.
those days was different, and the industry was all concentrated in Europe and America. And
Right.
today, as you know, it has moved to this part of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a fascinating experience learning, developing. So when I came back after doing all the trainings, I did a lot of improvements in our machinery, processes, compounds, and then it helped me. And it since I was on the shop floor at all these places, I got a lot of insight into the manufacturing technology, worker, and the management psychology. Because running a business doesn't, you can be a great technician, but if you don't know how to deal with people or take work from people, then you are not successful. And then sometimes I wonder that I should be doing a psychology, a master's in psychology rather than rubber technology, because today in running a business in India, you as an entrepreneur, maybe you don't even spend 5% of the time in what you have learned. 90% of the time is on
Mm.
government paperwork and
Mm.
interfering with people, getting people work for you. So I think I wonder that I should become a psychologist first and then get people to work, because getting work done is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And every human being is different, and that is more
Yeah.
fascinating. So
Yeah.
I mean, one theory cannot work for everyone. So you have to treat each individual as an individual thing. And that is also I tell my staff also, because we deal with rollers and all rollers have the same sizes or different sizes. But what happens is that each roller is different. Where the end use is different. So same thing applies to human uh, 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 till I mean it is a difficult situation to deal with human beings. So anyway, it was a great learning.
I think it's also, machines you can control, but people with emotions. So it's
It's very
you
difficult,
need
very difficult.
you need a different formula for each person.
Exactly.
So,
Each separate compound for each person, as rubber technology would say, in that
yeah,
sense, you know.
yeah. When when talking about the staff and team, um, you mentioned, okay, everybody needs a different way of dealing with it. A lot of times, a lot of HR people talk about, how to take care of the team, how to improve the team, how to, work with the team building, all those things. One thing I always wonder, whether team understand the owner's problems, whether team understand, you know, uh, what are the challenges he has. Do you have an idea, whether your people or a general industry, that whether employees understand the boss very well or not? They always think the boss
Uh,
has a bench car, or maybe he's flying, he's going this place and that place. I think the person who does not sleep well is the boss, I feel. um,
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Ultimately, what you say is 100% correct. The team doesn't understand the pressures, and when you ask a individual that do you want to grow, yes, they will say yes. Do you want the company to grow? Yes. Do you want to harm the company? No. But in their actions, because each human being is an individual, the decisions which they take, they don't even think about what it will cost to the company or harm the company, and then ultimately they will say sorry. So this is they don't want to harm, but by their actions on the decision capability, they will take decisions which are not correct. And this is this is the most important. Second thing, I always tell them, whenever you ask them, they will say, I did this, I did this, I did. I said, okay, fine. But did we deliver? No. So as in it's like in football, you have to score goals. You may be a best player, but if you don't score goals, or in cricket you don't score runs, I mean, no matter I may be best, but ultimately it's the runs and the goals which count, and they don't understand that 100%. But if you as a human being, they also have their own limitation, and I think that is where psychology plays a very important to convince them the importance of the right, correct decision making, and and unfortunately there are no schools or no colleges which teaches you that it's by experience only you learn, and unfortunately again we don't want to take other human beings experience, and you want to be brave enough and do the same thing again, reinvent the wheel again. So this is a human psychology which people don't. I always tell them, look, you have a phone call away, we have 6 plants, you have difficulty, just pick up a phone, but they want to make the same mistake again what the other guy did. So this is the what, as you rightly said, and it ultimately they can say I gave to my boss. Ultimately at the owner there is no one there. Either he makes profit, he makes loss, or shuts down the business. In the old days we used to, when the trade unionism was very high, we had a union in one of the factories, and I would tell my workers, like, look, either you will suffer or I will suffer. The union leader who is an outsider will never suffer. So it's better that you understand that, but they will never understand that. It has been brainwashed that owners are, as you rightly said, moving about in bands and planes, and you are not. But they don't realize that. I
Yeah,
thought
I'd
that
like.
I could. In one of my plants, we went for a only one plant we had a lockdown. We were closed for 9 months, and I was very hopeful that I would avoid it. But ultimately, I thought if I don't do this, they will never learn. Now they have learned the lesson that yes, what you say is what you said was correct, and I would always threaten them, but they never believed that we will do it. But at some point, then you will have to do it. That's the action will speak more than anything what you do.
Yeah, it's a, you mentioned it's important to have the understanding, the psychology. I think this is one of the factors which is missing in most of the programs. A lot of technical people run the business, and in the way they go in the data driven decision making, but there is some factors that we need to include is emotional balance, at the same time also the psychological aspects of the 360-degree, whether point of the employee or a point of the owner. So
Yeah. No, what you say is 100% correct. Unfortunately, in our whole education system, be it engineering, we do not teach soft skill. We do not even teach soft skill of dealing, how to deal with other human beings. Forget other things what you are saying. Even how to deal emotionally, psychologically with another human being who is your colleague. And that's the sad part, as you rightly said. And I was a member of the for 10 years with Rubber Skill Development Council. As you know, now government of India has washed itself from the responsibility of providing the manpower to the rubber industry, technical manpower. So they have formed what is known as a National Skill Development Center, NSDC, and under that every sectorial industry will form their own skill development councils. They will design the course, they will decide what they want to do, they will decide the institutes who want to run, and the curriculum also will be decided by them. And our curriculum, where we started right from the ground worker to right up to the rubber technology stage, we have included soft skills as a part of curriculum. Computer learning, dealing with people, dealing with workers, and how to go about it is an integral part. Only if they complete that, then they will get the degree or diploma or whatever you call.
That's very good. That's really important, to sustain in
Yes.
business. Yeah. So yeah.
Even when we train mixing operators, extruder operators, and then they are also taught the importance of housekeeping, cleanliness, dealing with people. Because ultimately they are also human beings and they also need to be taught.
Yeah. That's nice. And so how it is performing now? It's
Doing well.
still your yeah.
Yeah, that rubber skill development has now been expanded to include plastics and petrochemicals. So it has become a wider field, because I think we, under the leadership of Vinod Simon, who was the first RSDC chairman, he has put in, followed by a lot of hard work by Dr. Mukhopadhyay and the whole team. They have put up a nice curriculum, institute, trainers, and I think as a result, both plastic and petrochemicals came into their lab. So they have now expanded.
So the Indian rubber industry utilizing these opportunity.
Yes. They are, some of the industries, there are clusters, they will hold training, they will hold workers, and they give them like a mix, RSDC certified extruder operator, or RSDC certified mixing operator, because you basically require, and if you have trained manpower, and to train manpower is not easy. So I'll give my experience. We took a batch of about 10 batches for 3 months. We would train them and have a course, put on the factory, pay them full wages and everything. Out of that 150 workers, not even 5 stayed. 95 just disappeared because they didn't want to do work or something. So, that training was also, so if we get someone from RSDC, he will go there, he will learn, and then take up on his own. So it is a more insurance that he will stay with the company or stay with the industry. Let me put that way. Well, otherwise, mixing operators and in the small scale, in mixing operators and the extruder operators are just trained by in hand. There was no formal training. But if you have large number of the RSDC goes to the company and conducts the training there also for them. So a lot of companies in Jalandhar, Ludhiana have taken this opportunity, even in West have taken this opportunity and trained their workers, because training also is costly for the company also, and tire companies can afford to do it.
Yeah.
But small companies where you require 1 or 2 operators, how do you train them?
So you suggest to all the rubber industries, SMEs, or to work with the RSDC, utilize their the facilities they have, and training particularly the supervisor worker level, so they can improve their skills. So you rightly mentioned, particularly the tire industry, of course they have resources, but non-tire, particularly the SMEs, I think they have challenges. So I think it's good to know that RSDC is good. Okay, I think, is it RCP something, or DSC now, right?
No. Now it is PPR or something like that, because RSDC was Rubber Skill Development Center. Now it is, I think, petrochemical, plastic, rubber, something like that. It's a skill development center is there, and they are all affiliated to the National Skill Development Center.
Yeah. So let's talk about your rubber roller market. What is situation now in India or in abroad? Is it growing I think is, of course, if you look at the film industry, plastic film itself is growing. So how is for you, roller
Yeah,
business?
yeah, I think industry will grow in India particularly because India is a big textile center, and our see there are three main sectors which uses the rubber rolls: paper, steel, plastics, packaging, and textile. And when you talk of textile, India's export is production is very nominal compared to the Chinese textile industry or even Bangladesh textile industry. And government of India in these latest policy announcements is going to set up 7 8 textile parks just to boost up the exports for the textile garments and the textile industry. And India traditionally has been over 2000 3000 years a textile center because cotton is grown here, silk is available here. So, and now huge polyester capacity plants have also come in. So textile industry will definitely grow. Someone always told me, how is the future of textile? I said, future of textile industry is very good. He says very good because man is born naked, so he will have to clothe himself. So whether that
Well said.
fabric, whether the fabric is made in India or Vietnam or China doesn't matter, but the textile industry future is very good. So textile industry will grow, and I think I see a huge opportunity. Paper industry, I don't see. I mean, it will. If we will continue to be uh, using waste paper industry and not a natural fiber industry. Two reasons today: natural fiber industry is a taboo. People do, not environmentally friendly, though that is not correct because for every tree cut, the paper industry plants 10 trees. But the impression in the public mind is that it is a and not environmentally friendly. And in India, there are no forests. So we have to depend on waste paper imports, convert the waste paper into the paper packaging grade paper and other papers. So paper industry will also go because the consumption is very small. And with the Flipkarts and Amazon, the packaging industry, everything a toothpick comes in double boxes. So
Yes, yes.
that boxes demand will drive the paper industry. Steel industry, again, the consumption is very less, and this, as you grow, this economy grows, you require more cars, more fridges, more ACs, more TVs. So these are steel industry consumption will go, and in fact, because of the recent steel prices, the steel industry is booming just now in India.
Hmm.
So I think overall rubber roller industry will grow globally. Also in Europe and other parts, there is a slowdown. There is a technological development where, particularly in the paper industry and the textile industry, the uses have come down because textile is not considered a eco-friendly industry. So paper also the same, and paper the technology has come where they are doing away with the rubber rolls, and there is even a talk of growing paper on its own without paper machines. So I don't know. The R&D is concentrated on there, so we don't know how it will go. But otherwise the industry in Asia will grow because whether it is Thailand, whether it is India, whether it is China, because packaging is going to grow, textile is going to grow, and steel is going to grow. So in a development economy, the industry will definitely grow. So along with the growth, everyone has to, I mean, grow. Today in India, there are about 120 roller manufacturing companies
Hmm.
manufacturing rollers all over the country, from printing to rice to big ones. So it will grow definitely.
How about these other segments of yours, the lining and blankets? How they're doing?
Blankets also will grow because blankets primarily is used in the textile industry. So if the textile industry grows, it will grow. Yes, chemical lining industry will definitely grow because the growing there is a Atmanirbhar. So there are a lot of chemical plants which were shut, dyes and chemical plants have now grown because they want the industry to, I mean, dyes and chemicals locally. And
Yep.
furthermore, the new area of rubber lining is the desulfurization of the gases. The power plants, which are coal-based power plants, they have, when they emit the gases, they have to ensure that SO2 and CO2 and nitrogen dioxide are not released in the air. So have these huge linings on the scrubbers and all the exhaust gas for exhaust gas treatment. I mean, the volume are just stupendous. So I think rubber lining industry will grow. I mean, the kind of one plant requires maybe about 10,000 square meters of lining. Because there's many ducts. How much duct right up to the, chimney stack, you will require lining, gassing, scrubbing. Well, it's a whole different technology there. So I think lining industry will grow. Overall in India, as I told you, Prem, we have been growing at 8% compounded for last almost now 70 years. So it will grow. The only problem is that availability of the raw material, because as usual when it comes to the rubber industry, in the government mind it is only natural rubber, and natural rubber is grown only in Kerala, so it is becomes a state issue and a national political issue. But today natural rubber worldwide is only 40 or 50%. There is a 60% synthetic rubbers, and we have been representing to government for donkeys years, and whenever they come out with their policy, it's only natural rubber. They don't care because you have to have downstream products like for making butadiene, for making EPDM, for making acrylonitrile. We had worked very hard to prepare a document with the Rubber Association and have submitted to the government. They came out with a draft economic policy also, uh, and in that again, but somehow they change only to nature. It talk only of natural rubber, whereas we are pleading for the supply of our raw material over our growth rate, like
Yeah.
butyl. But industry will grow because this is a political issue, so no government will touch natural rubber. They will let it remain there, so industry will find their own way to deal with it. Like today we have butyl plant coming in, two SBR plants are already there, PBR plant is there. So I think industry, as the demand will pick up, someone will set up a plant with or without government support.
Yeah.
I'm sure about that.
So, you know, you see, uh, from 1977, I think you take the helm in sometime in 2000s. When did you completely take over?
From my father?
Yeah.
In about 10 years.
10 years.
By the
Okay.
time my father was, when I joined, my father was 55 years of age, and at 65 had almost retired. Of course, he was involved in business, day-to-day business, but all the decisions of running were taken by me. Policy decisions were taken by him.
Hmm.
So
And
he was involved.
what were the things that you see proud about, achievements or milestones, once the hat come onto you? Yeah. So for the Pandagalathia group.
I see, because all these expansions, as I told you, we started with 1985. I built my first paper industry plant. Then I did my expansion. Then I set up my Surat factory from scratch. I set up my Delhi factory, and the dream was my Vapi factory. Today, that Vapi factory is a dream of a factory and I'm really proud of it. Anyone who sees it also will be very proud of it. I went abroad 2 times to see with my architect, plan the machinery layout, and literally we made a scale, and every machine was laid into the position on the scale. Foundations were ready, so we just moved the existing plant within 2 months or 3 months.
Hmm.
And today to supply to mills, paper mills which are running at 1,000 meters, 1,200 meter minutes, and the trust and the faith they have in us, our clients, is our biggest strength today.
Hmm.
That client trust us. You will believe 80-90% of our orders come. They don't specify anything. They don't specify the covering. They don't specify the rate. Whatever covering we decide, whatever rate we decide, they will agree to it. So that is the biggest achievement my father We are known for our honesty and integrity and ethics.
Very nice. So you built a world class, probably the #1 rubber roller manufacturers in the world.
No, not in the. I would be in
Top,
top.
top,
At least
top.
top,
Let's
top,
say,
right. I would not. Nothing is but definitely. And if someone sees the Vapi plant, he will be shocked to see that this kind of facilities are available in India.
Yeah, that's nice.
The
That's
kind of
nice.
machine, the kind of layout, and everything. That is the thing. And our R&D is also focused on that mark, because if the client has a problem, has an issue, we will develop a rubber compound to suit his individual requirements. That is
So I want to get into that R&D side, how you manage, I think the requirements been changing day by day. Materials are also getting, new materials are coming in. So,
normally I keep abreast with the latest paper, reading your magazine, getting internet, Rubber World, and ACS Rubber Chemistry and Technology, which will show us where. And there are other specialized magazines, plastic and rubber composites, and other magazines published, which are very like R&D magazines only. So I keep regularly getting them and learning where the industry is headed, and then use that also to get the new products, whatever. Unfortunately, sometimes it is on the R&D matter or on the theoretical, because the cost of is so high that people are not going to pay for it. But at least we are aware, and if someone comes with a problem, we will definitely solve that. There are a lot of issues. You have Kevlar fiber, you have a lot of things, nanoparticle, lot of things have come in. In fact, even our metal rolls today are being replaced by, particularly the big film lines are replaced by carbon fiber rolls, because they are much lighter, much stronger, so the electricity consumption goes down. So we keep to then how to coat those carbon fiber rolls. So we keep ourselves up to date with all the R&D. Someone came up last week only that he want to rubber line Hesselite or something, a unique metal alloy. I said, you send it, we will try. Let's see. Because normally that metal is used in the chemical industry and it is never lined. But the other client is using so corrosive chemicals that they want to protect it with rubber lining, even if that metal is corrosion resistant. I said, look, bring in, we will try. So we are open to challenges. Let's put that way.
That's in the Latvia blood, I guess.
Yeah, that's my father left us with us. That is the whole thing.
So you're saying that you're an avid reader, and particularly the magazines and technical magazines, research developments. You keep up to date with all the. And I think all the rubber industry people should learn this practice by going through all these literature, wherever internet, even from the suppliers itself. I think suppliers will give you a lot of information.
Exactly.
So,
and as an entrepreneur, Prem, you also have to learn on the taxation matters also, because the government says very clearly, ignorance as a owner, ignorance of law is not an excuse. So you must be prepared of what is happening in indirect taxation, direct taxation also. So as a entrepreneur, it's a double whammy, Not only technology, but the other subject also you have to learn. Like today, government is going to come up with a new code on wages. They are abolishing all the old labor laws and segregating into one. So that also, because when you run it, you have to be abreast of what is going to come.
And also insurance issues also have to be known.
Yes, insurance also, because most of the people take insurance, then don't realize, and when they go for claim, they say this is not covered, this is not covered, this is not covered. I will give a classic example. When I joined business, rubber industry was classified as highly flammable industry.
Okay.
Because even if you use 1,000 liters of solvent in the factory per month, it was classified because they had specified any solvent use, you would become a highly red category. So when we started the insurance, we would take, the premium was ridiculously high. Then when I find one day, one of my friend was an advisor, he came and he saw the policy. He says, yes, you are insured your building, but the foundations and the plinth are not covered in this policy. For foundation and the plinth, you have to take a separate policy or you have to pay an additional premium. Now you would assume that when you are insuring the building, of course the plinth and the, but this is not the case. It is written in fine print. So these are the things which we learn
Yeah,
over the years.
yeah, it's not just only making the good product, it's you need to have the complete picture of the,
Complete
insurance, all the non-technical issues. You may call it,
non-technical issues.
yeah, to be
Because they are,
successful. Yeah.
yeah, because they are also equally important, because you break any law, any inspector will come and then threaten you. So I mean, you have to be abreast of 360 view as an entrepreneur.
Actually, we are coming with a program called a diploma program, executive diploma 360 degrees for the rubber industry technology and management.
I read that pamphlet of yours. It's an interesting concept you are bringing in. I think it's a great concept.
Actually, these programs, it will be part of that curriculum as well. What we are having is session today, and the participant had to go through these sessions with the rubber industry leaders, so that the learning points. It's not just only making a good product, cost-effective product. It's more than that, and people's psychology, emotions.
There are a lot of issues you get learned to it. That's not single supply.
Yeah. So most of the rubber industries are family-owned business, right? I think many of them. Yeah. And how to manage the family business? Okay, of course, father start, then the baton goes to his family members. It's important that fine balance, between the family members. So how do you guys manage?
Running family business is a different aspect, and in rubber industry, probably 80-90% of the business is with families only, and even so is the other industry as the case. And the as you rightly said, father starts and then inherits and goes to the sons and everything. So the first challenge which you bring up, when you start is they will think you are a boss's son, and they will try to overrule you, and they think ye bachcha kal ka bachcha aaj mere paas aaya hai, and then they will say no, I know, I've been working for the last 30 years or 40 years or whatever. What do you know? So in that sense, it's a challenge. And in my case, it was also because I was a rubber technologist, and I would go to the shop floor and ask the mixing guys, "Tu to bachcha hai, tero kya mala?" I say, okay. I gave them one of the badges. So he was struggling for 4 hours. He could not do it. I said, now can I help you? He says, yeah, now you please help me. So this is the biggest challenge, where people, whether staff, worker, everyone, they will challenge you with the thing. Second is, you have to create your own identity, at the same time respect your father's identity. So how to go about? In fact, we had a couple of friends who are there who are all second generation entrepreneurs. Therefore, so we used to meet once in 3-4 months how to overcome these challenges, because everyone faces these challenges, whether it's in rubber industry or any other industry. And my friends were not in the rubber industry, but they were into the other industry. So we would sort out, learn from there, and pass on to the next generation. The problem, see, we have to distinguish ourselves as between owners and managers. See, ownership of the company is different, and a manager capability is too different. And the owner, if the business has to survive, there has to be a distinction between the two, the ownership and the management. And if you see all these big companies where the family owned, there are big companies, they have separated the ownership and the managerial capability, because I may be owner, but I may not be a best manager. So for growth of the businesses, you will have to lay down the family guidelines, family principles. Now I didn't even know Nowadays, there are all these advisors who are coming in with family businesses, and they say you have a family charter, family constitution. I was really surprised that it's like, running government of India. You have, it says if the, if the business has to survive, family business, and it grow, then you must have a family charter, family constitution, what are the rights, dues. But I suppose, yeah, when you have business very big, probably you will require some points where everyone knows what is the right and not. When you have expanded families of 40, 50, 60 people, I
Yeah.
think it's a thing which everyone should know what they are entitled to, what are their rights and what they can't. Otherwise, if each man is a poor manager, then it will lead, the Peters principle, poor, the manager, the bring down the whole organization is something like that. And once you reach a sizable stage, then you can't afford to take that chance.
Yeah.
And that is why you see most of the family businesses don't survive beyond second or third generation. It is known as the third generation decay. In fact, in fact, I was surprised to know that there was oldest Japanese family-owned company which was over 3,000 years old, and they were making bridges, and they continue to make bridges. Only now they have shut down because they can't afford. They ran that business for 2,500 years. It is hats off to them. I mean, I read history on the family businesses, and you have to learn from them. There's success and failures either way.
So how do you are grooming your next generation?
Yeah, like we are between three brothers. We have one son, and the other. I have two daughters. My other brothers have two daughters. My youngest brother has one son, one daughter, and my daughters don't want to be in my business. They are happily married. So we are training now. Whoever wants to join the business can join. But today is a different world. You don't know. You can't. As I told you earlier, I knew exactly where I was going. Today, so we have asked him whether he want. He's studying in America, and we have asked him whether he wants to join business or not. You'll be surprised, Prem. A couple of years ago, we had 8-year-old students visiting us,
Uh-huh.
and visiting a manufacturing unit. They were teaching entrepreneurship in the school, and when they were teaching entrepreneurship in the school, in Bombay there were no manufacturing units. They went to a mall, they went to a software park, so they came to my factory, and I was also excited. What do you show to your 8-year-old children? Anyway, I said, "Chalo, let's see." So we taught them everything, and then I started the question answer session. So these are questions which the 8-year-old asked me. He says, "Uncle, what is your USP?" Sec- Second one asks, "What is your business? B2B, B2C?" And the third one asked me, he says, "Uncle, what is your backup plan?" And I first, for a second, I didn't know what he was asking. He says, then I realized he's asking me that if I had not succeeded here, what was my backup plan as an entrepreneur? So I told him, son, I didn't even think about it till you asked me this question. Because from the day I was in school, I was going to go to join my father's business. But 8-year-old was questioning this. This is today's scenario. I mean, I was literally in my 45 years, I had never thought that what would I do if my business doesn't succeed? But this 8-year-old guy asked, so this is the situation today.
Things have changed, and
Things have changed.
yeah, and manufacturing industry, it has own challenges getting the right people as well into,
And
it's all the digital mania, digital world now living in.
Yes, I always ask them. I said everyone wants Amazon and Flipkart, but what will Amazon and Flipkart sell if there's nothing manufactured?
Right.
Someone has to manufacture this to sell this, but and no one wants to get their hands dirty. So I don't know. It's a difficult situation where we will head, where manufacturing will head.
Yeah.
In India, getting manpower as it is a problem today. Getting a skilled worker, be it electrician, turner, is hell of a task.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it will become more and more difficult.
That's why the automation play a role. I think robotics may play a role in the future.
Big role. In fact, I just heard someone tell me there was a factory in Germany somewhere where two people are consuming 3,000 tons of rubber a month. Only two people are managing that factory. It's fully automatic molding factory, injection molding. I was amazed. You know, it's as you rightly said, robotics and automation.
Yeah, it takes a serious role, because if we have issues about finding the right people, particularly in the manufacturing field, yeah. So we'll get into the raw materials. It is always issues about supply and the price fluctuations. How do you manage these variations?
So,
Are you
uh,
this?
uh, it's a difficult situation in that sense that the buyer wants to buy at the lowest cost and the seller wants to sell at the highest cost. So
That's natural. Yeah,
this is but natural product. Like I would
yeah,
want my product to be sold at best price and my buyer would want at the lowest price. But more importantly, today it is a situation where we availability is also an issue. So we do not mind the prices, but when we know that we are going to get at X price, that is important. But today, what is happening? The prices are just going up and down, and you don't know whether this is high or not. And you have to keep the factories running. You cannot buy at the last moment. And some of
yeah.
the material like silicon has not. I mean, we have not received any material from silicon from the leading suppliers in last 1 year. So
Mm,
it's a difficult situation. No one predicted it. But normally, what I do is I always keep 3 to 4 months material in stock, because when I joined my industry, I was 79. I was GIT just in time, and
okay.
then I realized sometimes port is on strike, sometimes transport is on strike, and my
Yeah.
plant would suffer. I said I don't want this. I would rather keep the material with me, and you'll be surprised that in 6 months of COVID or 10 months till the situation became normal, we did not run out of any material in any of my plants, because
Mm,
that time the material. So I believe, and you talk to meet the people, you know what is going to happen. Oil prices are going, but sometimes you can't just speculate. Like silicon, no one could predict. Even nitrile, same is the situation today. No one knows where it is headed.
mm.
I mean, today nitrile rubber, which was available at $1,800, $2,000, today it is at $4,000. So people just don't know whether it is. I mean, you get caught sometimes, but normally you play safe, keep enough material, talk to people, that what is going to happen. Keep uptrend. The petrol prices go up sooner or later, the polymer prices are going to go up. So that's the only way to meet people, to read and to keep the situation. And sometimes you get stuck. In fact, I will tell you, in 1979, when we came and there was a tremendous increase of natural rubber, there was not a single ton of natural rubber in my factory. I went to Kerala, estate to estate, and loaded 30 tons of material, paid them money there, and loaded in front of me. But these are rare situations. You do get caught into. You can't predict everything.
Mm. You have to prepare yourself this kind
Yeah,
of
you have to
situation.
prepare and face the situation. Like
Yeah,
you have to take a call. Keep
yeah.
the money, whether you will not earn, but keep your plant running. Because if your plant doesn't run, then how do you break your overheads?
So you already brought the issues about the COVID pandemic, and how did you manage for 2 years?
I do. COVID pandemic was unique in that sense. We were all, first of all, it spoiled our financial year because it was in March last week, and in India, everyone rushes on the last day till the 31st night. Material is
Right.
being dispatched. So last 1 week, no dispatches, so that hit the finances. More importantly, we did not have email accounts, everything of the workers and the staff. So how
Mm,
do you pay them the salary? How do you connect to the bank from house? So first 1 month was a challenge to get all these details from this data put in our computer. After that, it became easy. We started net banking. I came to the bank. I said, look, you give us the facility, because banks were also not there.
yeah.
hardly any staff was working in the bank. There were one person or two persons. In fact, I had a document. We had shipped the goods on 20th of March, and it was for export. So I had to come on the first week of April, hand over the handwritten letter, please accept the document and forward, because otherwise the document would become stale.
Hmm.
So, and I went to manager, there were only one person, so they told me they helped us also. But sometimes what would happen, even salary you give today for RTGS or NEFT, they did not have people, so it would take 1 day, 2 days. But over the next first 2 months, we built up this all these data. Then it became very, because we have 6 plants, so I had to have details from all the plants, transfer money to all the plants, and whether you earn or not, the salary was being paid to them. And more important was also that to communicate with them, because no, at that point everyone was in fear. So
Yeah.
to keep their moral abreast, I used to talk to all my friends in the industry, find out, then summarize, do reading, do, and then summarize, and then send a communication to all my staff and workers, because they would like to know what is going on. And no one knew when this situation will become normal. No one could predict. So that the communication, the computerization, that helped us a lot. And as I said, my policy of keeping raw materials helped us even more, because the production was not stopped when the production became normal.
And all are
But you know,
vaccinated? Are they, all the
yeah,
people are
all
vaccinated? Yeah.
yeah, all the workers, we held 3 camps in all our factories and vaccinated all the staff and workers.
Hmm.
Double, both, dose 1, dose 2. So
It's
whether
also
they got
it's also give you time to change your practices of computerizing all the data, I guess. Yeah,
yes,
it was in
exactly.
the short time, huh, I think.
Yeah, in the short time, salary had to be paid on 7th of April or lately 10th of April, but we had to pay them, because otherwise how would they run their house?
Right, right,
They
right.
also had to run their house also, and everyone incurs cash out. So we learned a lot. First 1 month was difficult, but subsequently then became easy. We made a group on WhatsApp of all the members, passing on information so that everyone is aware what is happening in the company, what is happening, or whatever the difficulties are. So I mean, that was a great learning curve.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned at the beginning that we met 20 some years ago. That was at
Yeah.
Indian Rubber Expo. I think you are the first, probably, is it first edition or second edition at the time? I cannot recall. First, yeah. So you guys, you guys started it. You and Mr. Anil Sampath and
Mazhar Ora,
Ashok Mittal, yeah, and
five of
yeah.
us who started this whole thing together.
So now you look at this, the IRE became one of the important exhibitions in the rubber
Yes,
world, you know.
yes,
And
yes.
what's your how's the
It
feeling?
it's a great feeling. It's a very encouraging and thrilling feeling that it has come up to this level, and we wanted it to become to this level. Again, the principle, as well my father was, that look, lot of people cannot go abroad, and we have 8,000, 5,000 entrepreneurs. If they can't go abroad, let us bring the technology available to them here, so that they can see and improve their upgradation, their technology and product. This was the varying principle. And I don't know, the first we paid money in the year 1999 to for holding an exhibition, and it didn't work out. So then it didn't work out. Then we said, let's start. We will start with 1,500 square meter, because that was the exhibition center at that point. And as we start with 1,500 square meters, 5 of us can sell 300, or we can afford to lose from our pocket also, but let's start and do something for the industry. So that's how we began. Ultimately we oversold, because the Chinese had come, and Chinese told that they will buy 400 square meters. So we had to sell only 1,000 square meters. I said, well, let's begin. If we lose, we will lose 20, 30 lakhs each of us. We are comfortable, but the industry will benefit. And no one was sure. where we are, who is going to participate. But by the time the exhibition was held, we came, it was sold out, and we just didn't have space. The second one, and then that has been growing over the years. And for first couple of years, when we all traveled from our own personal expenses, even we came to Bangkok, went to Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore to market, Colombo to market, because we wanted this to be a center for Asia, because where people would come and learn. I mean, if it is available raw material or machine, then you can go back and do, because Europe was too, K was too expensive, and people would not go, and America is too far. But and I'm happy that this, we, in fact, we were told you are encouraging Chinese manufacturers to come to India. I say, whether you like it or not, Chinese are going to come. I mean, today media is there, digital is there. Whether you like it or not, you can't stop anyone if someone wants to come and sell in your country. I said,
Yeah,
let
it's
us
not just
invite, let us,
Chinese. It's not just Chinese. Everybody, anybody can come anywhere. So
anybody come and invite. So today in this information age, I said, what are you talking? There were people who were saying, I said, don't worry. And we are capable to fight Chinese also. And if we are not capable, then we have no right. We have to be globally competitive. And today I'm happy that the industry is looking forward. People are going to the exhibition, getting machinery. People are exhibiting good machinery, and the technology and the industry. Everyone has helped and everyone has grown also. It's a great
it's
feeling.
that I can personally feel that that was one of your achievements. As you know, you guys were I remember that you guys came to the Bangkok, did the road show.
Yeah,
We took a delegation from Thailand, Dr. Sunny Samoson, and I was working
yeah,
for
yeah,
him at that time.
yeah. I know that. I
And
went to Harjai also, because I was told
yes,
Harjai is the biggest. I didn't even know. I said, let's go. But it was an entrepreneurial spirit where we said, let's do something for the country, because Thailand is neighbor. Same thing we did in Colombo also. We went to Sri Lanka. We said, you come, let's participate. And that's how then everyone helped us. We worked hard. It is ultimately the destiny of God. And
I mean, for me, that experience was very useful at the time. And, even it's a lot of everything is a new, organizing, delegation and
yeah,
managing it, particularly in
yeah.
India, is was challenging. But in 2012, I started exhibition, the technology of GRT also every 2 years.
I know in
Uh,
Thailand. I know that. I know.
So that was, that was just like you in India, the destination, Thailand also, we talk about being the number one in the whole natural rubber producer, but we didn't have an
Yes,
exhibition.
yes,
What I want to say is beginnings are always a difficult thing, all you're talking about the growth of what GRT now today. For me, the first edition was the best times, because everything is a
yes.
painful, everything is a difficult. You, you know,
And after
when
the
you
first, when it does, where you will have a great sense of satisfaction that at least your hard work succeeded and you succeeded. That
yeah,
is a great feeling.
I mean, people ask me, Peram, your show has grown, and yes, yeah, but for me, what is the best show? The first one, because that
First,
was
agreed, agreed. Perfect. That is a perfect feeling. That is right.
yeah. So it really brings the what you and other Mr. Anil Sampath and Ashok Mittal, Mr. Vora said, all these people gave the India became one of the platforms, for the
Yes.
trading rubber industry. I think that is one of the best product you guys created for the
Yeah,
benefit
no,
of
no,
the Indian
I'm
rubber
happy
industry.
we did something for the industry. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
We are all earning from there. It is our duty. My father always used to tell me, if everyone takes and no one gives, then neither the country, nor the society, nor the family, nor the business will run.
yeah,
If everyone takes, if someone has to contribute back so that you business grows, everything grows.
yeah, yeah. So let's get into the little bit about how is the future of Indian rubber industry when it comes to the overall, not just only your line of business, but you
I
are
think
part of the AIRA, and you were the
I,
vice president for a few years, right? So
I was president, vice president, secretary anyway, but I
yeah,
think Indian rubber industry has a bright future. It will grow. India has a growing economy. We have a huge requirement, be it molded items, be it bridges, infrastructure. I mean, everywhere you will require rubber products, whether it is automobiles or non-automobile. So Indian industry will definitely grow at a much faster pace, because today all information is available ready-made, everything is available ready-made only, and you have a ready-made demand because of the infrastructure. So Indian industry will definitely grow 100%. There is no doubt about that, and I think it has a great future. All I can say, because India has 1.3 or 1.4 billion people, so it's a huge industry, and unfortunately, we have also a huge potential for exports also. But in some of the cases, our our capacities are not huge. We have to create those capacities to meet the delivery commitments of the overseas suppliers. And we have companies like Gujarat Reclaim, Zenith Rubber, Mazarbai, who are today leading manufacturers of reclaim or rubber sheets in the world, because they decided to do it. So we can do it, and I think there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are coming up who will take this industry to another level.
And in terms of the policies, you still see what kind of policies that India needs to this growth sustain. I think the government is doing whatever they can, of course, but it's when it comes to natural rubber, it's all towards the elections, politics, state
So
and things.
I think what we basically require is have a natural rubber policy independent. I mean, national rubber policy independent of natural rubber. Then the industry is ensured. Industry can make its projection of its requirements of the rubbers and everything, and then government can plan the petrochemical refining cracking facilities to based on the demand projections. I think that's the fundamental thing, and the government should not club rubber as only natural rubber. That's the unfortunate bit. I think what I understand now, they have removed the cess which we used to pay, and I think they are also amending the Rubber Act also, which is old Rubber Act. So they are moving there. Only thing they need to now set up a national rubber policy or something where industry is ensured of its future raw material needs. And RSDC will address the future manpower needs. So then there is a good scope for the industry to grow 100%. And we have been growing at 8%. Now we have to only grow faster. That is the issue.
So what are still left in your bucket list for the Lathia group? Or
we'll have to also expand to take care. As I said, logistic plans are there. So in our case, logistics are very, very key part. So we'll have to set up a couple of more plants where our presence is not there, and upgrade them with the technology, get into newer materials like plastics, PU, epoxies, and other material to cater to the industrial, I mean, the demand of my end clients. I mean, these are the wish lists which we will definitely move forward.
So what are your hobbies other than doing a business? What else you do?
I collect.
What makes you enjoy, other than the work?
I collect stamps and first aid covers.
Wow.
I hear music. I read, and then I do some amount of social work in my society, in my Jainism society, or in our community. So I am a Rotarian also. So it's a mix and match. Sometimes I have too many buckets, I think, but I manage to do that and enjoy traveling also. I go out once in a year somewhere with the family. In the old days, we go ahead.
Yeah, go on. So go ahead. Yeah,
In the old days, we used to do running around one country to another. Now we go to one country, stay there for 8 days, 10 days, 15 days, and enjoy that country, and then come back. When you are young, you want to do everything together. Now as you old, you realize that stay at place, stay, meet people, study culture, and then move on to a next country.
Yeah, explore as much as possible, not just only
Possible,
getting passport stamps. Oh, I traveled to many countries. No,
no, no,
I know
that
about
does
this
not
country.
mean. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And it's a great experience. When you go to small cities, small villages in each of these countries, it's a unique experience. You feel the life of the people there. Any metropolis will give you different feeling, but these small cities and villages which will give you the true picture. Big cities are same. Bangkok, Bombay, everything is same everywhere.
true. It's a concrete jungle, nothing
It's a
else.
concrete jungle.
Yeah, but I think India has a lot. If you have, I'm not sure, 28 states or something. I think each
Yeah,
state has
30.
its own culture. 30.
Yes,
So, these each state is each one country and a lot to offer, a lot of place to see. For the whole world to,
yes,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Um,
incidentally, for your information, today the local tourism is the most favored tourism amongst Indians. They prefer to go to all these different states and learn and travel in India. This is because of COVID restrictions. This has helped the Indian tourism industry also, the local tourism.
yeah. I mean, that is one of my wish list to travel all over India from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. Or if you can drive a motorcycle and explore it, that is my
Uh,
50
you can
year
do it.
old.
I'm
Yeah,
sure you can do it. It probably take 3 4 months, 3 months for you or 2 months for you if you step there, but you will be able to do it definitely.
I mean,
You join
great.
these Harley Davidson guys who have their group and who do this traveling and hikes together. Nah?
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot to explore in India. That's what I want to mention there. When you look at the culture, each state has its own stories, and so a lot of history in
Exactly.
there. So
Yes,
yeah,
I do agree there.
yeah. Okay, we're almost coming to the end of our discussions, but before I let you, a couple of issues to address. One is, what is your business mantra for the people who want to enter into the rubber industry, or who are currently in the rubber industry is still struggling? How do they have to survive?
You see, the over the years I have you know learned that people want fast money, quick money, and they ultimately then them out, burn themselves out. My simple tip is, okay, work with honesty, truthfulness, and integrity. That path is slow, but you will not fail, and neither uh, business or family wise, because in your desire to grow fast, everyone is not same. You may then land up into health issues, other issues, personal issues. I think as in the old days it was there, slow and steady wins the race, and no one can take away what is in your destiny. I mean, if it's not there, it's just not there. So you have to accept that also. Don't stress yourself and don't leave the path of honesty, truthfulness, and integrity. That's the key. You may sometimes feel that, look, people who are not there, but ultimately, today I realize, okay, this, but then um, uh, uh, I, when I started this business, there were so many companies around me and who were importing a lot of materials than me. And people used to come and tell me this. I said, look, I am only importing for myself. I'm not doing anything else. Today, all those companies, no one is there. I am still here. This is the key to that.
Super.
So that is the key. Don't leave the path. It's difficult. Sometimes you feel, but don't leave that path. The truthfulness is always truth, and there is always an eternal truth, no matter
Yes.
what.
Well said. Well said. When it comes to these technologists, okay, we're talking to business people, but if you want to encourage, what is your advice for young rubber technologists, to excel in the working career, in their work life? Yeah.
In their work life, first thing is they'll have to learn the soft skills, because being the best technician is not enough. Knowing about latest rubber is not enough. You have to be a deal with people, get the things produced by an unskilled worker, by a staff who is not trained or who doesn't understand your language. So the first thing is you must learn and teach the people then only you will be able to progress. I may have best of the formulation, I may have best of the equipment, but if the worker or the staff doesn't know, it has no meaning. So this is the first thing. Have the experience on the shop floor of working with people and learn the soft skills. Because as I said earlier in my talk, soft skills are the key to get being a good manager and a good leader. That's my advice to them.
Sir, I know it's a long, but I really enjoyed our conversation. I'm hoping you enjoyed too. Thank you very much. Before we end this session, would you like to give a final message to the audience
Yes,
towards Latvia and yeah.
First thing, I must thank you for giving me an opportunity. Maybe I spoke too much. When I started the talk, I didn't know how long will it last, but I think it went on quite long. I enjoyed hearing from you, and I enjoyed sharing my experience in the industry. Sometimes at the end of the career, you feel that you have gained so much experience. Someone should learn from it. So I'm glad that at least people will hear me and learn from my experience. And the first and foremost, as I said, is learn to give to the society, to the family, to the industry, because otherwise, and our country, without giving, and if everyone takes, nothing will survive. So we have to leave this for our future generations. So this is the key. In today's world, people are, you know, uh, selfish or do it for themselves, but that is not enough if the world has to go forward. So my advice to them is work hard, enjoy life, and give to the community, society, and the country also. Thank you very much, Preram. Once again.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a really informative, learning, and enjoyable session with you today. And I personally learned a lot. I'm sure audience also will be watching on Monday or in any of the in the future.
Okay.
There's a lot of takeaways from this session, guys. That's the Mr. Jürgen Lathia. I think you heard well, and he gave you a lot of advice. I'm sure you find this advice useful and make sure you practice them. Okay, that's the way to go forward and to stay in the rubber industry a longer time and sustain. And Jürgen sir, stay healthy and wish you all the best to the Latvia Rubber Group. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You stay healthy and best of luck to all my colleagues and professionals in the rubber industry. Best of luck and stay well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that's the conversation with Mr. Jürgen Lathia. I'm hoping that you find it useful. And if you'd like to watch this session again, you can always check on YouTube and at the Technobiz channel. And not only today's session, but also on all the past episodes are available on YouTube at the Technobiz channel. Feel free to check it out. Thank you all for joining the session. I see you next episode. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.